Hey everyone, it's Angela Allen from the Handmade Homestead. Welcome back to the Every Bit Counts Challenge Day 5. And today, well, I'll show you what we're going to do. But first, I need coffee.
One of the things I'm going to do today is definitely process all of these ripe tomatoes for the freezer. But for today's day number 5, Every Bit Counts Challenge, we are going to make Southern style green beans. Typically, I process things as ingredients that I can add to other dishes. I'm not much for meal prepping, but in this case, we're going to prep this as a side. So all I'll have to do is pop it out of the freezer and heat it up for quick meals. I have an overabundance of green beans this year, and my freezer is already full. Starting with a cast iron pan, if you use them, you want to get the cast iron pan screaming hot. Turn it off, let it cool for about a minute, then turn it back on, and while it's still hot, add your cooking oil and let that heat up. In this case, I'm adding 1/2 pound of diced bacon, and I'm going to cook that until it's brown and crispy, saving all of the oil because my beans are going to get cooked in that too. My favorite thing to use for this recipe are these Romano beans because they're thick and flavorful and they hold up really well for the long cooking time. But you'll notice I do have a bunch of other kinds of beans in there too because frankly, like I said, I'm overrun with beans and I need to cook what I have. I'm going to dice these in bite-sized pieces and get them washed. In the meantime, the bacon is browning and I've got it on a very low heat. I'm interested in rendering the fat because the fat is what's going to give the beans flavor, and I want those bacon lardones really crispy. I'm going to give the beans a really good wash after I've chopped them. And then a few at a time, I'm going to put them in the pan with the cooked bacon and get them frying. This is on pretty high heat. I want to get them started to kind of toast and fry in the oil before we simmer them. And in the meantime, I'm going to add some seasonings to my pot. I don't really need a lot of salt. I do use sliced garlic. This I keep in the freezer. It's from garlic we've grown. I peel all of our garlic and slice it thinly, throw it in the freezer, and we've got garlic anytime we need it. I don't bother mincing it. I think it loses too much flavor. I'm also going to add some thyme to the pot and a good amount of good old black pepper. I'm also going to use green onions. You can put a regular white onion in at this point if you want to, but I'm using green onions from the garden. A lot of people make a comment about the fact that I live in Rhode Island and I'm a New Englander about me making Southern food, but I want you to know, like most people, there's more to my story than where I live now. As a child, I lived in the South in both New Orleans and just outside of Memphis in a town called Millington, East Tennessee. I love Southern cooking, and more than that, I love Southern people. Generous, warm, and welcoming. Being in a Southern kitchen is always a good thing. Now I just added some homemade chicken bone broth to the pot. We're going to put the lid on and we're going to let this simmer on medium heat for about 40 minutes. I'm going to stir occasionally. Now you'll see there's a lot of liquid in there and the beans really do not need to be swimming. So I'm going to leave the pot on high. I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to cook down this liquid rather quickly because the beans are almost cooked at this point. Time to add the next ingredient, potatoes. I've scrubbed these potatoes and made sure there were no blemishes on them, and I'm going to put them through this dicer really quickly. It works fast, it's really efficient, it's kind of fun to use. And best of all, everything will be a uniform size, so they'll cook more evenly in the broth in the pan. So we're going to get them diced up and get them cooking. They really only need about maybe 10 or 15 minutes because they're about a 1/2 inch cube when they come out of this cutter. And that small, even size makes it so much easier to get everything cooked and done right around the same time. Don't want mushy potatoes in this. When the beans are cooked and finished, I will let them cool for a while before putting them into silicone muffin molds. And I will show you those at the end. This isn't an exact recipe, it's my recipe, so you can vary it however you want. Or you can just look up some recipes online if you want something really authentic, but I think this is pretty authentic, except for the thyme that I added. But I don't think anybody in the South is going to take exception to that. It does have a really strong smoky bacon flavor that's super addictive. You can see I'm still cooking off that liquid. I want to get more of it. You can see there's more of it reduced. I don't want it all gone, certainly, because I need enough liquid to cover and cook the potatoes. And I am going to add quite a lot. I probably add 50-50 potatoes and green beans. I did cut more potatoes than I needed because I'm going to use them for lunch too. But I put, you know, about 50% potatoes, 50% beans. I'm going to stir it well, put the cover back on, and give it another maybe 10 or 15 minutes until the potatoes just start to get tender. I know my pan is kind of sad. I use this pan for baking sourdough bread almost exclusively, so I don't worry too much about what the outside looks like, but I promise I do wash it every time. And there's our lunch. I'm doing a beef and potato skillet for lunch for my family. These are gonna go in the freezer as soon as they're done, and they look like they're done now. I'll put them aside with the cover on and let them cool until I can package them up for the freezer. So on a 1/4 sheet pan, I'm going to put 2 silicone muffin pans. And now I don't use these silicone muffin pans to bake in because, again, they're silicone and I'm not real keen on that when it's heated for food, but they're really flexible and very, very easy to remove frozen stuff in. Each one holds about a cup, so it's a perfect size for these side dish kind of meal accompaniments. I do chili in these, I do cups of soup in these, I also do spaghetti sauce and baked beans. I will freeze like this in individual cups. And I'm going to slide a picture in here to show you in just a minute. So these are some of the beans and lunch. I did try the beans. They were so good. They are so good, you guys. You have to try them. They're very satisfying. Beans should be really well cooked. Smothered green beans, the Southerners cook them to almost mush. So here I am filling the little muffin tins. These will go straight into the freezer, and when they're done, I will pop them out, put them in freezer safe bags. I usually put 4 per bag. That's 2 servings for, you know, for 2 people. It's enough for 2 people. If I need more servings than that, I just take out more bags. But I did put 12 servings in the freezer today. I'm going to show you a quick, this is actually spaghetti sauce, but the beans weren't frozen yet when I did this video, so I wanted just to show you how I freeze and then pop out the contents into a bag and then freeze them in 4 packs. That's the end of day 5 for the Every Bit Counts Challenge. That's what I did for today. I'll see you tomorrow. The Handmade Homestead can be found on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, and we look forward to seeing you there. Remember to like and subscribe. It helps so much, and we appreciate your time.